up, everybody?
Hey!
Are we starting? Okay.
It's okay.
It's real now.
We're talking shop. Yeah, it's real now. We're actually about to do this for real. What's up, everybody? How's everyone doing? I'm going to pull up my notes, which just disappeared on me, of course, as soon as I'm about to talk. Nope. Here we go. All right. So, you're a director. That's the name of this panel. I am your host, Troy Jeffery Allen. I'm a producer, writer, and host, because I'm here. I'm also the consumer marketing head for Diamond Comic Distributors, but outside of the office, I'm primarily known for my work in comic books, specifically MF Doom, all caps, Public Enemies, Apocalypse 91, Revolution Never Sleeps. But I'm not going to talk about me. We're here to discuss the realities of filmmaking. A lot of this will be enlightening, but some of this might be a bummer. So I'm just letting you know that right now. For that reason, I'm going to ask you to not hold your applause throughout. If you like what you hear, put your hands together. It's good to feel good about the work we do. Matter of fact, make sure that you applaud the people after I introduce each of them. So we're going to start now. Up first, John Lombardy BECKHAM is a filmmaker and a musician. He's known for Showtime sports documentaries, the health documentary, The Diabetes Solution, and the dark comedy short 20F and 20, which I love the way that's spelled, by the way. LEROY NGUYEN, director, actor, writer, editor, and fight choreographer. He did semi-autobiographical, One Last Rumble, a fan film for the video game Shenmue. I didn't know that. That's cool. And his neo-noir feature Black Scar Blues. So say what's up, LEROY.
Hello, everyone.
SHERWYN SANTOS directed and produced branded content for the NBA, the WNBA, Google, Corona, Bud Light, AT&T, Nike, Discovery, National Geographic, and Disney+. He has directed several web series. He is currently in pre-production for 2 separate indie features. What's up, SHERWYN?
Hey, guys. What's up?
And last but not least, SHOSHANA Rosenbaum is currently in post-production with her feature film director debut, The Other You. Her work has been recognized by AMP Productions, the Austin Film Festival, Pitch Competition, the Nashville Film Festival, Holly Shorts Film Festival, DC Shorts Film Festival, okay, oh, that sounds okay, and Asian Pacific American Film Festival, and the Sick Chick Flicks Film Festival. All right, cool. So, all right, let's just dive into it. Origin stories are cool. What made you want to be a director filmmaker? I'm going to start with you, John. You look like I put you on the spot. I kind of did.
No, it's cool. I loved movies.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always had kind of the creative, artistic bug in me, and came up as a musician with, piano when I was 5, kind of thing for my parents. Didn't really like it, but loved music. And as I kind of progressed through music, I realized that, you can make things by yourself, and then started realizing that you could make movies too. So just started shooting stuff, started filming stuff, started trying to figure it out, and then just kept on doing it. I'm 45 now, so been doing creative stuff for like 40 years, so just kept on progressing. I need to have a better answer for that one, by the way.
It's okay, it's all right.
I don't know, I love movies and I wanted to make them. That's the answer.
There's no wrong answer. There's no wrong answer. So, Shauna, what made you want to become a director, filmmaker?
Well, I, like John, was always creative, and when I was growing up, I'm 50, so I'm a little older than you. So when I was growing up, not only did I grow up in the East Coast and am a woman, and so didn't really see a lot of examples around me of directors or female directors in particular, but loved movies, and but did a lot of writing and did a lot of visual art, photography, painting, and really got into screenwriting because I love movies. And I'm very grateful to this festival in particular because I think it was 2012, I went to the DC Shorts screenplay competition, and a friend of mine who was a screenwriter was one of the 5 finalists, and I saw her screenplay get a staged reading, and I was like, I want to do that. It kind of was the first bug where I was like, I want to try to, instead of trying to go the industry route, and get noticed as a screenwriter, I was like, I actually want to independently produce one of my things. And so the following year, I was one of those finalists, and I wrote a script called The Goblin Baby. I didn't win because the winner got some money for production, but I was just kind of it gave me, I just was like, okay, you know what? I want to be a director. I'm going to make this movie. So just having that experience. So I'm really grateful to your festival for that, creating that venue for people who were coming in as writers. And anyway, that was about 10 years ago, and I ended up making that film, and then it screened at the festival the following year, this festival. And then since then, just have kept going and making shorts, and shot my first feature this summer.
Awesome, awesome. What about you, Sherwyn? What made you want to become a director?
I was actually like a music major when I first went to college, but I was so bad at like I took my first theory class and I was like, this is awful. Like I can't do this anymore. So and like it was like sight reading. Like you had to know like the distance between two different notes, and I was just like, I can't do this. And I took an English class. I fell in love with like English literature and like philosophy, and I started writing screenplays because I was a big fan of movies. And I realized that like if I just write screenplays, no one will ever make them. So I'll just make them myself. And I came up with like the DSLR revolution, and I just started teaching myself how to shoot. And eventually, like I just became like a director. I started just becoming like in charge of like all the sets I was on. And yeah, no, it's just trying to tell stories at the end of the day.
Okay, awesome. Leroy, what about you? What made you want to become a filmmaker?
I actually hate movies. No, actually, I started in 2003. I was 17. My parents got a camcorder, and before that time, I'd grown up with movies like everyone here, and probably everyone here. I was really into Jackie Chan, and the moment I got that camcorder, I took two of my cousins. We go out in the backyard and we just start fighting, and from then it just kind of, I'm sitting here today, and it's funny because it's like, and I was telling Sherwyn this earlier, that my methods haven't changed. It's still the same after all these years. It's just the techniques, the skill sets, the experience that's changed. I went to college for video game design, and I hated it. I love video games, but I'd much rather play them. So by that time, I'd already, I'd still been making movies, like short films in my backyard and things like that. And throughout college, I met other people who had similar passions for it. And then it just kept getting more and more serious. And then I think around the time 2012, maybe it was 2011. I don't know if anybody remembers, but this is right when Amazon Studios was starting up. And they had a contest for, I think you make a test film or something, and then they would produce it. And at the time, that was when I made my first feature. And I ended up getting a finalist award for Best Actor for that. So that's when, and I've acted in every one of my movies. And I don't know if it's because I enjoy it or it's because it's like, if you're on the independent scene, you just have to do everything almost. So it was at that point when I saw that I can make it like sort of as an actor. That's when I was like, okay, yeah, maybe I could take this a bit more seriously. And now I'm at the point where it's like, I'll live and die by filmmaking. That's all I got.
All right. That's a really good answer. Thank you very much. So, everyone in the film business wants to talk about accomplishments. Let's talk about setbacks, because that's kind of what we're here to do, right? What's a reality of directing that you were unprepared for when you first started? And you guys can take a second if you need to kick that around. Sure, when you look like you had something popped up immediately.
I think it's like more of like a career thing once like you kind of like start getting on like bigger sets, is that like the people that you work with in the beginning are not the same people you could like take with you on the way. Like, cause like people have like different paths, they have different goals. And I think one moment I was like directing a branded content thing, and I brought like a DP I usually like work with, and like he wasn't really adapting to it like super well, and we were struggling a little bit on set. And like I was just like, talked to him afterwards, like, is everything all good? And he was just like, yeah, like I'll be honest, like I wasn't really comfortable commanding a crew of that size. And I was just like, well, like, do you want to work on big sets like this? He's like, not really. And I was like, okay, so that's like kind of a thing. Like I don't know, I feel like a lot of directors are very strong-willed people. Like we'll bring people with us all the time, but some people don't want to come along for the ride. So I think that's like one setback I kind of learned, is like people with you, like, loyalty is always great. You always want to be there for your day ones, but sometimes like, the folks that you've been working with since like the very beginning aren't the same folks you're going to be with at the very end. And I feel like that's like something a lot of newer directors who are getting like bigger and bigger opportunities is like a big thing. And also you should work with people who are better at you than your job. Like my DP should be better than me, my gaffer should be better than me, my art director should be better at me, like at all of their jobs. I think that was like one like setback I was not very prepared for, but nowadays I'm like, okay, I should spend the money on really good crew and just rely on them.
Anybody else, a reality of directing that you were unprepared for when you first started off?
I think. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I'll be quick. I think movies doesn't equal money. You know, like you make your first film, you make your first feature, you think everything's going to happen right after that just because you finished the film and maybe submitted to a festival, maybe won something, but the reality is it's much more than that. There's a lot of luck involved. You know, if you don't have a marketing strategy, which I do not, you know, then you're basically just making the movie, and then that's it, and then you're going back to your day job. So that's a setback. That's a reality that I deal with every day. You can ask my wife; she's tired of me, you know, just ranting about it. But you know, one day.
What about you, Shoshana?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what I was going to say. I think that, I mean, to build on what you were saying, that it's definitely, yeah, it does. Sometimes it's a good idea to separate like art and commerce, because I think like everything that you achieve, you think like, okay, now I made it, you know, now I have a manager, now this has happened, now I won this festival, whatever. But it just, you kind of, with indie filmmaking, you kind of go back to your passion for the next project and raising the money for that project and getting that project. It's like it kind of all starts over again. I mean, I imagine until you get to a certain point where people are then coming to you for things. But yeah, that's just kind of the reality of it. But that means that maybe you have to make money other ways. But that's why it's like, I think a dream for many of us is that we could combine the art and commerce, and hopefully one day we all will, or will on certain projects. But also, that has downsides too. So, you know, it's also kind of freeing to be able to just be like, this is my independent project that I'm making, and I'm going to find the money for it, and I'm going to make it. And that's not necessarily how, you know, your bread and butter. So it's a balance. I mean, I'm sure all artists would love to be able to support themselves fully through their art, and that's a goal forever. But it's also, you know, it can be, thinking about those things as like separate things also is helpful for me.
What about you, John?
Directing is all about managing setbacks. Like, it's just this continuous setback loop where there's just setbacks over setbacks every day, every set, every scene. And so that's why my head kind of exploded when you said, like, what's one set? It's just like, so I think that a director's main job is to be confident in front of all of these setbacks, in front of the crew that you're working with, in front of the actors that you're working with. So directors need to understand that the entire job is filled with setbacks every day, and be ready for them.
Yeah, I think that's an awesome point. I just directed my first feature this summer, and yeah, I was talking to a friend of mine from college who's an exec at Netflix, who's been on much bigger movies. Like, she just was involved with Rustin, that movie about Bayard Rustin that's coming out, and, you know, like big movies, kind of sets I've never been on. And I was describing to her all the things that happened on my little indie film set, like, you know, stomach flu working its way through the cast and crew, and different people being out every day, to like tornado warnings where we had to drop everything and run into the basement, you know, losing power on set, like just for a whole day because of a storm, because we decided to shoot in the DMV during the summer, which, you know, so stuff like that. And she was like, yeah, that's kind of normal. I was like, that's probably a normal indie film set. And she's like, that's kind of normal on any film set, honestly, like whatever the budget, like you're saying, you just constantly have to manage and have that just be like, okay, let's regroup. We can, like, how are we going to fix the problem?
And it's not just on set. It's like a lifestyle. Because when you leave the set and you don't have any active production going on, you have to figure out where your money's coming from, right? And that's like a whole life setback outside of filmmaking. And so just the lifestyle is just like how to deal with adversity and how to stay calm and how to instill confidence, not just on the set, but like throughout this entire world of trying to figure out what the hell you're doing. So be ready for setbacks. If you want to direct, right on, just be strong.
So some of you, like I know, SHERWYN, you kind of already touched on this a little bit, so did you, John, but who do you rely on the set? Like, who are you relying on for answers? Like, who are you shooting to, like, be like, all right, I need you to help me solve this?
My first AD all the way. That's like the number one person. My first call all the time is my good first. I mean, to the point where, like, if I don't have a good first in, like, an area of country I'm filming in, I will fly my first AD out, just because like that person is, you know, like you're like the bad guy on set, quote unquote. Like you can rely on them to tell you like the bad news, and also like, you know, a good first will come up with a couple solutions before any setbacks they want to like present to you. And I feel like a good first can like make or break a set, especially with like a director, because like I don't know, when you're directing, you just kind of want to focus on the creative stuff. But like a good first will like take care of all the awful logistical stuff that comes with like all the fun things I want to do.
For me, I would say a DP, because that's always my first person I think about when I have a project I want to direct, because I have visual ideas and a background in photography. But to be honest, even when I was into photography, the technical aspects about how to achieve those were never my interest. And at some point, I just accepted that and realized like there are people who I can partner with. I mean, filmmaking is all about collaboration. So to have a DP that you can explain the concept to, what you're looking for, and then have that person have the technical prowess, like you're saying, better at you in that particular area, then that's really important for me.
What about you, Leroy?
What was the question? Was who do you depend on the most?
Yeah, who do you depend on the most? On the set? Personal.
I don't know. I think I really depend on each and every one of the crew, and when it comes to doing what they're supposed to be doing, because yeah, like what SHERWYN said, I mean, they're all way more, they're experts at what they do, way more than me. I barely know anything about cameras or lens. I just got my first DSLR like 3 years ago. You know, before that I was shooting on a camcorder the whole time. But I will rely on the technical folks to do the technical things. When it comes to the creative part, excuse me. It's really all on me, and and I'm not trying to say that in an arrogant way, but it really comes with just directing the ship, you know, and steering that creative direction regardless of what like what John was saying. Like it's just like the obstacle is the path basically. So I have to rely on myself to figure out, all right, this location isn't working, or this line isn't working, or if I'm doing an action film like this punch isn't working, so I have to work quickly to just work around it, and everyone else will just kind of have to have confidence in me to know what I'm doing, so that I can show them like the rushes at the end or something, that all right, this was the right way to do things. So
what about you, John?
Oh, everybody, just like they said. I think Tarantino said it, that like your job is to have the vision, but it's also to hire the best people in those positions. So as far as creative vision, you know, make sure that everybody's on board before they're hired. But once they're hired, that's who I rely on. There's nobody that's going to be most important. I mean, for film, it's going to be the DP, but for lighting, it's going to be the gaffer. And for set design, it's going to be the production designer. And all of those pieces have to be really straight in order for the picture to really look good. So it's the answer is everybody. I think I just stole your answer.
You shared an answer.
Yeah,
it's
share
okay.
the answer.
Actually, John, you've done documentaries, which truthfully, when I watch a documentary, I still, it's almost like when I saw a movie for the first time as a kid. I'm like, how did they make this? Like, it's still sort of like this weird puzzle that I can't figure out. So how much of that is directing in the moment versus directing in the editing bay?
So it's going to be, the editing bay is huge for documentary because there's no script. So, I mean, you can, as an interviewer, you try to get the answer you want. Like there's a soundbite in your head. I wish he said, the first slam dunk I had, my brain just exploded and it was beautiful. And that's the line you want, but they don't give you that line. And sometimes they don't give you anything like that. So the editing bay is kind of where you start to, you have a vision for what it's going to be, but in the edit is when you can really start picking the sound bites and the quotes to really form the story. And that's what documentary is. There's no script. So you got to figure it out a little bit, you know, and it happens throughout the whole process, throughout production. And as you're gaining the interviews, you start to see where people are going. But the edit is very important, much more than narrative, I think, because in narrative you have a script.
Okay. No. So actually, next question. What do you like about the process? Your favorite thing about the process? And I'm definitely going to follow this up with your least favorite. So just keep that in mind.
I'll jump first. Casting is my favorite.
Okay.
All right.
Being on set and actually directing.
Okay.
Like, it's kind of weird. Like, the feeling of getting your crew together feels so badass because it feels like you're pulling a heist together. You're just calling people like, "Ah, son of a bitch, I'm in," you know. You're just like trying to convince them to take the job. Like the rate isn't great, but like, hey man, crew's really cool. Like that's always a cool feeling is like getting everyone, and also when everyone's together on set, it's like a great feeling.
It's like forming like Voltron or whatever. Like
Yeah.
all the pieces coming together for this
The
badass
Justice
machine.
Yeah,
League.
it's just like I got this guy. He's like, really? Okay, yeah, I'm in. I'll do it. Like it's like yeah, like it's a lot of fun.
I think for me, just just being on set and directing, and then editing. But those are also both my least favorite things. as well. Thank you.
I found out yesterday that Alfred Hitchcock's least favorite thing was being on set, which I thought was actually
That's so weird.
it was kind of surprising. So just keep that in mind. Least favorite thing about the process.
Finding money.
That might be a shared one.
Yeah.
That's not the fun part.
I mean, they don't teach you that when you're making a movie. Is that like it's a lot of begging for money, like from like either rich people or like private investors or like the public. Like it's a lot of like, all right, well, our idea is like 50,000. Where am I going to get this money from?
Right.
What about you, Leroy?
Oh yeah, directing and editing. Yeah, I'm sticking with that because they're great. They're great when they work.
Yeah.
When they don't work, you hate it. You absolutely hate it. But it's definitely a love-hate thing. Especially when it's working. Whether you're directing the actors on the scene or if you're in the scene yourself and you're kind of directing everything, and it's just flowing. Because I don't like to work with. I don't storyboard. I have scripts, but they're also very open for interpretation of the actors. That's what excites me the most. Just being there, feeling that energy, and just kind of jamming with everybody. And it's also the same thing with editing. When I get home, I get that footage, and I pop it in the whatever it is that I'm working on, and seeing how everything is just coming together. And it's a wonderful thing when things just start just falling into place. But then when things don't fall into place, you don't know what you're going to do. And you want to just drop everything, and then you're sitting on your couch, and you're like, what am I going to do? I'm just going to go to work tomorrow,
Gotcha. Is there a correct way to direct actors?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll let you know. Everyone behind you was like, You
So,
said yes.
I said yes, because I acted a little bit. I think that directors should either take an acting class or an improv class or like study acting. I think that, and there's no blanket answer, but my answer is yes, is that actors need encouragement. Actors want collaboration and to be heard. The days of kind of like, you have to do this, get on the ground, crying, like berating, those kind of days are kind of passing by and are kind of gone. And I know that actors want encouragement. I just know that. And like wherever you're coming from should be that kind of place. Actors don't want discouragement. That's my answer.
Okay.
So it's not a blanket. It's not a blanket like, yes, you have to direct this way. I just know that actors want encouragement.
That's a good
Yeah.
lesson, I think.
Oh,
Yeah, go for it.
I think like I my first people I started directing was like comedians, and like they take discouragement really well, like because like they're used to it every day. Like on set, like they would bomb and no laughs, and that was so like I was so used to like directing comedians and be like, that wasn't great, you should do this instead, and they would take it super well. The first time I directed like a real actor that way was a nightmare because they were just like, wait, really? And I was just like, yeah, like you should just do like that instead, and then there's like in their head. So I very much echo what John said. Like encouragement with like normal actors is a very good way to go. But also like I feel like, the best way to direct is have a conversation, have them understand like the character, the story, because like it's all like very like it's like Inception. Like you have to like kind of incept put the idea of the character gestated inside of them, and then like they become like that person. So it's a lot of it's just like understanding, just having a really good conversation about like the character and the story, what you guys are both trying to accomplish together, because at the end of the day, like it is a collaboration. Like it's not just you, it's not just them. It's like you guys are coming together to create like a product.
Right. If it's not wrong, like that performance wasn't wrong. It's just what if we do something else? Let's maybe play with something like so. Yeah, I'm just echoing what you're saying.
Yeah, also, you don't necessarily, I find in my experience, what I see or what I think I like in the moment on the day, then on the edit, sometimes I'm like, oh, actually, I like that take better. I didn't expect to, but because of the take I picked before then. So it's nice when it is a collaboration, the actors feel listened to and they feel seen, like you're actually giving them, not, I totally agree with you, there's a wrong way to direct. There's an old school way that was acceptable, you know, back in the day where directors did terrible things to actors and didn't, you know, weren't honest with them and put them in really compromised situations. And I'm glad people are not so much doing that anymore. But I also think, yeah, I think it is a collaboration. And like, just like you guys were saying about the crew, like the actors are also an expert at their craft. And so I have done some acting. I have some understanding of it. It's not my craft. So I'm going to respect that they're the expert. At the same time, they want to know what your vision is. They want some decisives. They look at you after the take and they're like, they want to know. And it does help if you can be encouraging, but also like one of my producers on this feature gave me a great piece of advice. She said, once you think you got it, tell them, let's do one more take. Just have fun with this one. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that was such a good piece of advice because often that's the best take because they feel freed up. Like, you already got it. Okay, I'll just do something crazy. Sometimes it's a little too crazy. It's not what you're going to use, but maybe you're going to use the reaction of the other actor or something. So, yeah, I don't think there's one right way to do it, but
that's the answer. There's a wrong way.
There's a wrong way.
There's not like one definitive right way. That's the answer. You got it.
Well,
Leroy might have it. I don't know, but like Shoshana said.
No, I mean, yeah, I agree with everything that they said. I really like to leave characters and acting up to the actor's interpretation. You know, very much. You'll hear me say this all the time on set. I'm asking the actors, all right, what would you do in this situation? Mm-hmm. You know, and here's a script. Here's a setting. You just need to hit these beats, but everything else, it's not verbatim. As long as you can get there, you know, and as long as we get what I have in my mind, once we get that, we can do whatever the hell else they want, you know. So I think allowing for a freedom, you know, because it is a creative medium, and also just with that positive, you know, the positive feedback, the encouragement, and everything, because it's not just for, you know, keeping the actors on their game, but it's good for morale, you know, for that whole crew. If you're just being a jerk the whole time, you know, then who's going to want to do good for you, you know?
Absolutely. Was there ever a time when you fell out of love with the process?
Can I jump back to the performers thing real quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
Just for any aspiring directors or people that are directing, your job is to get performances out of the actors, really. And so, you know, the best lighting, the best sets, the best wardrobe, if the performances aren't good, the movie sucks.
Right.
So, like, you know, that's why you have a DP doing camera. Your job is to really nurture this relationship with this performer and understand that they're the people that are going to be on that screen forever. So, like, you really I think that the director's relationship with the performer is the biggest responsibility that a director has in a narrative film. That's what I think. Exactly. Everybody else is going to be able to kick ass on their job. I just want to get. I just want like because if anybody wants to direct,
you got to do it.
You got to care for that relationship. Like that's your thing. That is your primary responsibility, in my opinion.
Yeah. Can I add one more thing too? I also found it interesting. The feature I made this summer, there were 3 kids in it, and you know, people always say don't work with animals or kids. I've had kids in all 4 of my movies. I don't, because I think kids are interesting and relationships with kids are interesting. So anyway, the movie was about a family and there were 3 children in it. So it was interesting because the parents were on the set with the kids, and there was a kid in the movie who has been in many more movies than I've directed and like has been on some bigger projects. And her dad said to me, it's so great. She was about 15. And he said, you know, it's so great how before every scene you like take her aside and you talk to her about it and you say like, what do you think is happening here? What do you think your character's feeling? And go through that whole process. And I was like, who doesn't do that, especially with a child? And he's like, oh, you'd be surprised. They just put her in front of the camera, they turn on the lights, and they're like, action. And she's no one's talked to her. And I was like, that is crazy because you're not going to get the best performance, especially from a kid who might just be like, okay, like, you know. I mean, I was amazed to hear that there's directors, especially children, who don't even bother to have a conversation before they shoot the scene. That I can't imagine you would get the best performance with that approach.
That's one of those wrong ways to direct.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, is there a time when you fell out of love with the process, thought maybe I'm done with this?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think so.
If there's a project that I'm not passionate about, the moment I lose that passion, it's just like, all right, yeah, I'm not.
What, like quitting the project or quitting filmmaking in general?
Yeah, both.
I mean,
Either
quitting
or.
the project, like I've been hired on some projects that I wanted to quit on because it sucked. But
Can you
like
name those projects specifically? I'm just
no,
kidding.
none of the credits that I have. But like when you try to, when you're in between projects that like you self-generate and you like really believe in, you have to find like money to live and like pay for my kids' food. So like I've done like commercial projects that sucked because nobody was into it.
Yeah,
And I
but-
wasn't into it, and they wanted me to do all kinds of shit that wasn't in the responsibility of the job, and I didn't want to churn out something that really sucked, so I had to put extra effort into this thing that I didn't love, and I was like, this sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, if the creative agency you're working with is like a nightmare and they like oversold the project or something, it's just like, we can't do this for this amount of money. It's like, well, we promised it. I'm like, well, that's not my problem, but at the same time, like, my name is on this and I want to be hired again. Like, that, like, it's like the money stuff, like the stuff you make money on, like what John said. Like, that's like my least favorite stuff to do.
The work.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like, yeah,
the
it's just
job
like, it's
part.
like a nightmare sometimes. It's like, yeah, like these, like I remember I was directing like I mean I'll say it now, I don't care because I don't care. Like it was like a Corona thing, like with two athletes, and like there's again they're like buddy buddy. I'm like, do they like even know each other? Like there's no, they gotta play up that relationship. And like the entire time, like I was getting notes, they're just like, well, like it doesn't seem genuine. I'm like, well, like, yeah, it doesn't. It was like, well, like, can you tell them? It's like they're not like they're athletes, they're not actors. These are like like you can get them to. Like, you get them to throw a football or tackle somebody because they're athletes and that's what they do. But, like, you can't get them to, like, be buddy-buddy and, like, but we fixed it in the edit, You could put smiles on people's faces. They put happy music over enough things and they're throwing a football. It seems like they know each other super well.
Additionally, what got you back in the saddle? Like, what keeps you going? Like, a lot of you were saying, I don't want to quit. I don't have those moments where I want to quit. But what keeps you going?
I mean, I just get a passion for the art of filmmaking. And for on indie projects, like it's not going to happen unless you have that passion. Unless you're the person who. I mean, it's different. It's different if you're hired to do something, but if it's something that's like you're saying self-generated, then that passion. So it's just, I don't know. I think being an artist, it's like you have something that you want to say, something you want to share with the world. It's motivating.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's all I have. Like if I just had my mundane job and just doing that and taxes and going to bars and stuff, and I don't know what I would do to I don't know what I would do. It's really that. It's hard to explain. You get that thing inside you. It's like a fire. Like a couple years ago, I got this high-paying job at a big tech company, and I have no experience with tech companies. I don't know how I got hired for it. And at the time, I was working on a short film, and I was telling my wife, I said, all right, maybe this is a sign. Maybe this job is telling me, all right, maybe I'm done with movies. I don't have to do it anymore. Because the project that I was working on was very good. I felt like if I never make any other movie after this, that's it. That's fine. And I could just live a regular type life, And then 2 years, and then my wife, she told me, she said, you may feel like that now, but sooner or later you're going to get that fire in you. And 2 years later, that's exactly what happened. And I ended up having to leave that job. And I think that was the only reason I was able to finish the feature film that I've just finished. And that is the best thing that I've ever done, So, yeah, as long as that fire is always there, that's what's going to keep me going.
What about you, SHERWYN? What keeps you going?
Like there's always like a new story to tell that like I feel the desire to. It's kind of weird. Like I feel like after I'm done with a project, I just come up with like a fun idea. I think would be a lot of fun to shoot. And also like the feeling of being on set with people and just making something. And I do a lot of comedies, and like it's always like a very fun environment. People are like laughing, and like when you nail like a very funny moment in the scene, and like the DP can't like stop from like laughing. He's like the camera shaking a little bit. It's like those moments that really, looking forward to those moments really keep me like going.
What about you, John? Oh, I'm sorry, Shoshana.
Oh, I think I already went.
Oh,
I
you
already
did.
answered
I'm
the
sorry.
question,
I'm
yeah.
sorry. Go ahead, John.
I'm gonna just echo that it's kind of like the what the hell else am I gonna do? But like on a macro thing level, I think I said that twice already. It's so corny. But like if let's say there's like aliens out there, right? We're just riding with me for a second, and they come and they're omnipotents, come down and hover over Earth, and they look at humans. They're gonna be like, these people are horrible. They're destroying the planet. They murder each other. We should get rid of them. But I truly believe they're gonna be like, but did you see like the Silence of the Lambs? That was fucking amazing. Or did you hear Nevermind by Nirvana? These guys are insanely amazing. Or like, did you have pizza? That was amazing. I really think that the things that we make are like our legacy as a society, as people, and I'm driven to like contribute to that. I hope that wasn't too.
No, that was a great
Yeah,
answer.
great answer. I mean, that's what's going to be left when we're gone, right?
Yeah.
So there you go. Anything else you guys want to throw out there before we wrap up? Is there just something that maybe aspiring filmmakers need to know that, you know, I know it's kind of a reiteration of the first question a little bit, but like something that you want to just convey to the audience?
I'll start.
Yeah, go for it.
Just go online. There's so many awesome resources. Listen to podcasts. Listen and learn everything you can. Script notes on podcasts is like one of the best resources you can find. There's so many things on YouTube, just like how to be a filmmaker. Like the days of kind of being in the dark about how to do it and what to do are gone. So just learn as much as you, if you love it, learn it. Learn it upside down from all the filmmakers. There's quotes by all these great filmmakers that you can really inspire to learn by, and then just go do it. Just do it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if you have a story that you want to tell, then just your voice is unique, and that story is not going to exist without you. So go ahead and make it. Even if you just make it on your phone, just start making stuff. If you have that passion, don't wait for somebody to give you permission or to tell you like, okay, it's time, you're ready. Just go ahead and make stuff, whether it's writing a script or making like a little short video or whatever. And I agree with John. There's a ton of resources. Anytime I don't know how to do something, like the feature I just made, it was it has doubles in it, so like the same actor playing the, you know, kind of like the Parent Trap kind of thing. It's not the Parent Trap, but anyway, there's six actors and they play 12 roles, and they're often in a scene together. I had no idea how to do that, but I found the script and I was like, this is something I want to make. And in every other way, it's a very doable, ultra low budget project. All takes place in a house, one location, that kind of thing. But I didn't know how to do that. So before I even talked to my DP, I just looked at YouTube. I looked at a lot of YouTube videos about different ways you can approach that as a filmmaker. And after a little bit of that, I was like, okay. And then I talked to the DP, and of course she had even more ideas. But there's so many resources that are so accessible that, like, when I was growing up and like going to college, I didn't study filmmaking because it seemed so unreachable at that time. Now it's like, it's not this like thing you have to do on film and develop in a lab anymore. Like, it's something we can all do every day. So yeah, I would just encourage, if you want to make something, go for it.
I mean, yeah, like the newest iPhone has ProRes log in it. I mean, that's kind of like nuts if you would have told me that like 10 years ago. But like, I mean, 10 years ago, I didn't even know what ProRes log was. But like, I mean, you know, just to reiterate, like everyone's point, it's just like, I don't know, just make stuff, just get your reps in. I'm a believer in like practicing, like you know, like just direct as much as you can, direct with like people who are willing to be in front of the camera. Like, I feel like that's how you really get good, is just practice, practice, practice. Like, people like look at, you know, Spielberg and they're just like, whoa, like, you know, he got like a deal with Amblin when he was like 18 or whatever. And like, well, I mean, like, if you look at what he's been doing since he was like 5, he's been making movies like nonstop. So if you want to be a director and you want to be good at it, I feel like you have to practice as much as you can. Say yes to direct whatever. Like, you know, if you know someone that needs a video, just say yes. Just always say yes, even if it doesn't pay the most, just because the practice and the time behind the camera is invaluable.
Leroy?
Do it for yourself. Do not compromise. And stay true to yourself as much as possible. That's it.
That's all there is. Social media, where can people find you? I'll start with you, John.
_John_Beckham. Follow me, I'll follow you back.
All right. And where's that at? Everything?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, perfect. What about you, Shoshana? Or
At-
website?
Sorry? Oh, I do have a website. It's just my name, ShoshanaRosenbaum.com. My first name's Phonetic, SHOSHANA. And I'm on Instagram and Facebook a little bit. And I don't know, ever since Elon Musk bought Twitter, I haven't really been very active there. But so mostly Instagram, I think.
You can find me on Instagram, SHERWYN S. That's spelled with a Y because my parents are weird. You know, I don't know why they did that to this day, but yeah.
Leroy.
You can find me using Rising Tiger Films. You can look that up on Google. It'll take you wherever my fingerprints are. So.
All right, perfect. You guys are way too efficient in your answers.
Well, do we have time if anybody has a question?
like if they have questions.
I was going to say, actually, I was going to say I was going to turn over to the audience.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you in the white shirt?
So I want to know, because every single set that I've been on, or most every set that I've been on, has had a director's monitor that you're given and you are looking at. And I just kind of want to get in your head a little bit. When you're looking at the director's monitor, what are you looking for? What makes you say, yeah, yeah?
If it looks like something I'd see on TV. So like make it look or make it sound real is like something my wife, we talk about that. So she'll hear some of my music, and if it's not like EQ'd to like radio level, she'll be like, yeah, it's all right, but it doesn't sound real. Or if I show her like some clips from set and it doesn't look real, like something she'd see on TV, she's like, yeah, I mean, I understand, but it doesn't look real. So the monitor is kind of like a TV that I'm looking at. And if it doesn't look like a TV showing a show, I mean, obviously there's going to be difference. There's lines and like shit on the screen. But I want it to be like, oh, yeah, that could be on my television at home. And my wife might say that looks real. That's a very kind of obtuse answer, but that's my answer.
I would just say, I mean, you have to have in mind what you want to get out of the scene. And so you're looking at the monitor because, like John's saying, it's like the first version of the movie. I mean, the quality, maybe I have worse monitors than John does on set, but like it doesn't look to me like it's going to look eventually after it's been through post-production. But I have a sense of whether, you know, the actors have achieved like what we were going for in terms of the feeling, like what happened between them. Does it feel real? Does it feel like an authentic interaction or whatever, you know, the scene is about? I mean, some of it's a real gut thing. And that's why also, like I was saying, you want to get multiple takes, and ideally you're working with actors who are like willing to play and be like, okay, we thought we wanted this, but how about we try it like this just for fun? Like we'll have it for post, let's see. And then you have some choices, and the best film actors will understand that. I mean, the actor who was the lead in my movie this summer, she was, it's primarily a theater actor, but she really understood that the difference with film acting is that she's like, I'm just trying to give you choices. Like, I'm giving you take 1, take 2, and take 3, and you can decide what you like. It's different than when she's on stage, she's giving the one performance that she has in that particular performance. So, yeah, I don't know if that's a helpful
I want to
answer.
go back in. If I've worked with a DP before, I'm looking at different things than if I haven't worked. If I haven't worked with a DP before, then I'm checking his work a little bit. But if I've worked with a DP before and I love him and like I have a guy that I love, I'm never gonna like look for composition. I mean, composition is gonna be there, but I'm never gonna look for like some technical things. But if I haven't worked with a DP before and he's been kind of thrust onto the project and I haven't seen his reel, I'm kind of gonna be checking his work a little bit as well, because that is a direct mirror of what the camera's capturing. So I'll be looking at that monitor much more if I don't know the DP than if I do, because then I'm going to kind of like watching the actors a little bit more and kind of maintaining that relationship.
Sherwyn, Leroy, do you guys?
I think to jump on John's like initial answers, like a lot of it's like also like it's different for different things. Like for narratives, it's like, yeah, I got to make sure it looks real, like performance, art direction, you know, and you know, just make sure like it looks like solid and looks like it's something that I would actually like see on like a TV or a screen or a movie or something. If it's like branded concert commercial stuff, I'm like looking at 9x16 boxes, and I'm just like, can we put like social media stuff here? Like, is that what the client wants at the end of it? But yeah, that's the stuff I'm like really looking at.
Yeah, it's just how, like they said, it's that moment where it's almost as if like the stars align, and you get that one take where you know the performances are on point, the camera works on point, sounds on point, lighting, everything, and then it all adds up to give you that feeling, that magical feeling, and you can't help but smile, you know. And it's great just like when you call cut and then you walk out from behind that monitor just to look at everybody there and they see your reaction, and it just kind of it's like a symbiotic thing, you know, and they get that energy from me because I got that energy from them because of what they were doing, you know. So, yeah, that's all I look for.
We're shooting a short in November in Baltimore with the DP that I love. I'm not going to be using a monitor. Like, we've already talked about the whole thing. I trust he's maybe the best part of our crew. So I'm just going to be working with the actors. I'm not going to be looking at the monitor.
That was a really good question, actually. Thank you. Straight in the back.
Yeah, hi. I was curious about what it's like being a director in DC. If you have a lot of narrative work opportunities here, or if you're working a lot out of New York or Georgia.
I have a hard time getting motivated to go find work. So like most of the projects that I care about, I just self-generate. So it doesn't really matter about geography. I'm from DC, but I'm working in Baltimore in November, and I've found that the Baltimore film community is very strong. I'm not as familiar with the DC film community because I'm not putting myself out there. So maybe you guys have a better answer.
I don't. I mean, I'm not really at the point where I'm being hired to like go direct something in Atlanta, but so my projects have all been self-generated and local.
Like like a lot of things in my career has been a lot of luck based, and I feel like I got very lucky. Bleacher Report is like a sports kind of publication under Warner Brothers that got bought by Discovery. It's very weird. And I got partnered with them very early in my career, and I got very fortunate that they would fly me out to do stuff like in Atlanta or Los Angeles, New York, and so that's where I would do a core of my commercial work. And through that I built other relationships. But in the DC area, it's a lot of nonprofit work. It's a lot of industrial work, which is like with Under Armour or some kind of company. It's a lot of there's some brand stuff here, but narratives is narratives isn't they don't do a ton of it in DC, and because of the way the DC scene is, it's very your circle are your circles. I mean, they do some cool stuff like BET. I knew they'd shoot a couple movies down here, and they do some narrative stuff. But above the line, they hire out of town people. But if you really, my advice is if you really want to get into the DC film scene and narrative stuff, and you didn't go to school here or film school here, and you want to get into that network, the 48-hour film festivals are a great place for you to meet people who want to work in narrative. And you could find a group of people that you gel with. I have a lot of friends that participate in them. They have a ton of fun, and that's a really great way to meet a bunch of creative people in the DC area. But I have heard really great things about the Baltimore film scene. I mean, that's where I'm producing a feature is in Baltimore.
Well, Baltimore is DC in a lot of films.
Yeah.
So.
Well,
Leroy?
Sorry, one other resource I just wanted to mention when you were talking about 48-Hour Film Project is great, and also Women in Film and Video, which is open to men as well. They have awesome resources. They have a screenwriters roundtable every month. They have a directors roundtable. They have lots of things you can go to and learn from people. And they have a conference in the fall called Script DC, and they bring in people from other places and have master classes and on directing and all kinds of aspects of filmmaking. So that's another really, really good resource locally to check out.
Now, Leroy, when you came in here, you said you don't come into DC often.
No, I do not, and that's right. Yeah, and I would say stick with their answers because their answers were fantastic. All of my stuff is self-generated. It's all basically for me. Never been hired for anything. Never applied for anything though. So I don't know what the scene would be like out here.
Be careful with locations in DC. When you're writing, permitting could be a little tricky because of the monuments and because of the government. Just a heads up. Not trying to discourage shooting in DC. I just had to get permits for drones and stuff in DC, and it was not easy.
I actually will just point out, to your point, permits are very difficult here, so that's why a lot of stuff is shot in Baltimore instead. So just keep that in mind. We have probably room for 2 more questions here. You're right there.
I'm looking at a fighting director. I wanted to ask a question about when you're on set, you can't get a performance out of an actor or a scene. Do you keep going, or is there a point where you're this is good stuff yet? So what do you do at that point?
Yeah.
You don't do what I just did in front of anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, you maybe take 5 and probably have a conversation.
Yeah, or maybe give them a break if that's what they need, and just figure out what's going on. And maybe, I mean, usually your scheduling is pretty tight, but maybe you can give them a break and you can shoot something else, like while maybe your AD figures out what's going on with them or something like that. But usually if you've cast this person, usually there's a reason that you're not getting the performance. So
that's a casting issue.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I think it was Hitchcock who said, like, directing is, I don't know, 90% casting. I don't know what the number was, something like that. So anyway, a lot of it is in the casting. But if you have cast this person and you have gotten good work out of them, up to this point, then there's probably something going on that you need to find out about or give them a little space on or something like that.
Yeah, no, exactly what she said. Like, it's literally just like it's maybe like an external factor, just have a conversation with them. Do not keep going. Like, you're not going to, after take 5, it's not going to get any better.
Yeah, right.
Like, you have to walk away. Like, and I feel like a lot of newer directors have that problem. It's like, there's like, oh, I'm just going to get it out. It's like, no, that's not going to happen.
Well, your crew turns on you too.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck is this guy trying
Yeah.
to do to us?
No, I mean, I had a nightmare scenario where, like, the EP is like she's like born from, like, she's like from a different country where, like, she doesn't really know, like, the etiquette on sets. Like, you don't, like, say things out loud about the actors in earshot of them. And you're on, like, take 5, and she was just like, this is, like, really bad. I'm like, you need to, like, not say that right now. And I was like, we're on, like, take 6. She's like, this needs to be better. And I was just like, we need to walk you away from the set right now. And then, like, yeah, you're right. The crew was just like, hey, dude, like, what are we doing here? Just like, did you get what you want? I'm like, no. But, yeah, like, just walk away. That's, like, my best advice.
Leroy? I think specifically for, like, the things that I would do, I work with people that I know, actors that I know, and maybe they're not even actors. They're people that my friends who I know don't act, but they kind of fit the physical description, so I ask them to. And if you're ever in that situation where you can write the script and direct it, then, and you have relationships, or the people that you're casting, they're all friends of yours, and their abilities, then you can start from the writing process. You can write around their abilities, right to their strengths. If you have somebody who isn't the strongest actor, but he's got a great physical presence, then just, give him a physical role.
Right.
Play
to your strengths, kind of
Play
thing?
to your strengths, exactly. And that's only if you're in that sort of position. If you're just kind of hired on and then the cast is there, it's exactly what they said. Yeah, do not go past take 5. Give them a break, and just go from there.
Unless it's getting better and better and better, and
Yeah.
everybody's really juiced about it, then but you'd feel that.
Yeah.
Also, we're still crewing up in Baltimore, so if you want to jump on, holler at me after this. All right.
That's probably going to be the last question because we're about to do a raffle. I just want to say this is a nice spread of directors here. Some great insight, probably only one great hair, but some great insight overall.
Just a note real
which
quick.
one is
If any, we're all like,
I wasn't going to say.
I'm going to speak for all of us because I've looked at all of our backgrounds. We're still in the same boat as everybody.
Yes.
So, like, if you guys want to network and come holler at us, we'll holler at you. We'll switch social media back and forth. Maybe we can work on projects together. Like,
You can still hang out here after the panel.
I mean, I'll buy you a beer if you want.
Thank you very much, guys. Much appreciated. Can we get a round of applause, please?
What's the order number of the panel?
Shoshana.
Yeah.
Are you going to say it too?
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Oh, God. I might need glasses, you guys. For real. Okay. 398-7871.
Yay!
Nice.
Where did she win?
Our swag bag.
Oh.
All right. Okay.
Nice.
You haven't told. Get 5 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Anybody
We'll
got
take another
questions?
question.
Okay. Thought that was going to take longer than it did.
Now, when did you ask about your biggest fuck up?
Oh, boy.
Wow.
Oh.
You know what's funny? Like, it was one of my first campaigns where I was, like, directing by myself, and it was, like, for, like, a big company. And I like it was kind of a fuck up, but like not really because it was okay at the end. Like I just remember like Cam Op walked up to me. I was just like, I've never like seen such a like young, confident like director before. Like just work like. And I was like, oh, that's nice of you. It's kind of weird. I was just like, what's making you say I'm confident? And he's like, you didn't ask for any safeties. And I was like, what? Oh crap! You didn't get any safety. And like mentally, I was just like, because it was like a branded thing, and like we were running so fast. I was like, we got it. We're good. And that, I mean, like it was kind of a fuck because I was just like, you should get safeties on like really bigger things where a lot of money's being spent and it's not your money and there's like contracts and stuff. But like it also kind of taught me like, oh, you know, sometimes you don't really need safeties because it's just like we're just good, you know. But like I feel like to me in the moment, that was a big fuck up for me because I didn't know if the edit was gonna be okay mentally. It was gonna be okay, but yeah.
Anybody else?
Back up your stuff to triplicate backups.
Oh, yeah.
So I won't go into that, but just back up your stuff. Triplicate is the word. Back it up physically, back it up in the cloud. 3 copies.
You just reminded me I have 2 SD cards sitting in my trunk of my car that I probably should do something about immediately.
You're lucky it's not summer, man.
Yeah. Anybody else?
I mean, going back to what John said earlier, I feel like there's just a constant series of disasters you have to manage on set. So I think I've just reframed my brain that they're not fuck ups. They're just like, okay, like how are we going to solve the problem? Another one, like let's solve the problem because you can't get mired in it. You don't have time. So
I told a producer to fuck himself. That was a big one. This dude has.
Oh wait, Leroy, did you answer? I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, there are way too many to note, but just a bit of advice. If you ever do like an action film or any scene of violence, and if you do that in public, make sure you either have make sure you're in college or you can pass off as a student, or get the permits or anything, because you do not want to get stopped by like 4 or 5 DC cops while you're covered in blood.
Oh God.
No. Jeez. Right. This is not how they shoot in New York. You cannot do that here. Let's see here. Actually, you straight in the back.
Can we talk about cameras? Do you guys prefer shooting primarily in film or digital? Can you talk about that a little bit?
I'm so new that I'm terrified. We're going to shoot a narrative. I'm terrified to shoot in film. I would love to shoot film, but I'm not there yet. I don't know if you guys have ever shot film.
No, I mean, I haven't except for like Super 8, but I don't, and also in terms of editing, I've never had the budget to shoot on film, and then I also don't know really how to edit film. Like I know how to edit digital media, but.
Yeah, nah, just been always digital. Just because like I don't know, and it's also very expensive. Digital is much cheaper.
And film is very, very sexy, and I definitely want to at some point, but just like logistically, I'm just terrified of it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I did a short course in London, at the London Film Academy. So, we shot on film. Actually, when I went, I wanted to shoot video. So just looking at the process, what it takes, shooting film, I was terrified.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been on set where they shoot on film, and it's very different because, like, when I feel like the crew has when it's rolling, like the crew really stops what they're doing,
Right.
Yeah.
Because like they're just like we literally can't like
precious.
format that card.
There's no room
Yeah.
for error.
Yeah.
You, sir, in the jacket in the back.
I was a little late, so I apologize if you all addressed this earlier, but I just wanted to get everybody's general thoughts on film school. And I know there's been mention about the accessibility of the knowledge nowadays online and all that stuff.
It's unnecessary.
Would you recommend it to this time?
I would not recommend it, but I'm not going to, like if somebody's like, I'm going to film school, I'm not going to be like, you're dumb. Definitely not going to do that. But I think that there was a track maybe 20 years ago where you would go to school, you would network, and then you can get hired to do stuff.
Exactly.
And those days are not here anymore. So like if you want to be a director, you need to start making things yourself. The talent pool is so wide and so big, and networking has happened so much already that like people don't give college graduates jobs.
Right.
That doesn't happen. Unless you are rich or have family in the industry already, You need to just start making stuff yourself.
Yeah, it's just so accessible now.
Yeah, I would say I didn't go to film school, but so I think if somebody's gonna like give you the money to do it, but I do know filmmakers who did go and are still paying it off and are not necessarily, like John said, are not getting the job right out of school. So I think it's a financial decision. I think it sounds amazing to have like 4 years to just completely immerse yourself as a student of film. I think that sounds great, but I wouldn't want to come out of it hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, you know, and not necessarily knowing what the job is going to be.
Just, I have 2 features streaming, one on Showtime, one on Gaia, and I'm trying to move into narrative. And an agent won't take me. I've never been offered a job, and it's very difficult for me to find money to do stuff. I'm not trying to, that was not me trying to credential myself like I'm doing, like, what I'm saying is you got to go out there and do it yourself.
Yep.
I'm not discouraging you from film school. Film school is probably awesome, especially if it's a big one where you can network and the money's there and like there's certain specific situations. But if you're not in one of those certain specific situations, go out and do it.
I would say like if you want to just go to I think college is still cool if you can afford it and it won't sink you into debt. But one of the best advices I got from one of my mentors in college, who's like an Emmy Award winning like television writer. Like I asked him like, should I study like film in college? And he was like, no, just film stuff you'll learn on set. You'll learn on YouTube. Study English and philosophy. Study stuff that like will like make you read things and learn stories and story structure. He told me to learn English and philosophy because like English will teach you how to tell stories, and philosophy will tell you what to tell stories about.
That's great. That's great. I'm a philosophy major.
Oh, nice. We have a lot to talk about.
Yeah. And not a lot of money to make.
Yeah, exactly.
Can we take one more? She has a question.
Can we take one more?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if there's anyone that's trying to go to the next film block, it's happening soon, or it's loading in right now. But
I just want to close with, I went to film school and I'm the moderator. So there you go. Thank you. Yeah, like we have one more. If you're not going to a workshop, if you, I can take one more question. You, sir, in the black? Yep.
Basically, you almost all uniformly said that finding funding is your like least favorite part, which is also my least favorite part. I was just kind of curious of like what have been some avenues or strategies that have like you've used to overcome like that challenge.
I actually got an arts grant to make the feature I just made. An arts grant that was specific to a woman making a film in DC about like the experience of being a woman artist, which is so specific and weird, but it paid for my whole film. So that was like a gift, and I think that's very abnormal. But I had a whole, I was planning on trying to get some grant funding, crowdfunding, and investor funding, and then I ended up getting this crazy grant. So I mean, it can happen. So that's I would just say that's an avenue to explore in addition to the other avenues.
Anybody else?
I mean, like it's just really thinking about who in your network, someone you know has a lot of disposable income and is very likes art and stuff. Like, I mean, it's very tough. Like, I feel like it's a thing that a lot of people are navigating. I mean, look at Scorsese. Like, he couldn't make Silence for a while because no one would give him the money to do that, and that's like post all of the great movies he's done. So it's a perpetual problem that that everyone has across levels. But I feel like if depending on the budget, like crowdfunding is always great. That's always something that you could do maybe once. People maybe the second time people were just like, why? But crowdfunding. Try to, if there's any artsy rich people,
Now, when you say once, you mean for the one project?
I mean, it's people only have so much goodwill, I feel like,
I don't know. I did it 3 times for 3 shorts successfully. Yeah, and I think it's having a network of people who are not also filmmakers.
They must have been good.
Yeah.
They must have been good, though. You can't, do the first...
I mean, you have to make a good product and deliver it on time and, let people watch it and, goes to festivals and stuff like that. But then when you come back, I think also it's kind of an advantage to be in a place like this where there isn't a big narrative film scene. But if you have a network of people who are interested in art and are like, oh yeah, I'll give you $20. That's awesome that you're making a movie. I don't know anybody else who's making a movie. So maybe not only once.
Yeah. I mean, sorry, I'm all my friends are filmmakers. So I feel
you can't just ask them.
Yeah. Asking filmmakers to give you money for their thing, they're just like, what?
Right, because they're trying to get money for
I have a question. I don't know if it's the last one. I just think this is fun. Have you guys ever
Or to get into like TGI Fridays or something?
Yeah.
Has it ever worked?
No, I hadn't thought of that. I'm gonna have to try that out. like what situation are you mean? Like,
You know, like, oh, hey, yeah, I'm a director. Like, I can do
Oh,
that. You know,
hell yeah. So I have a 7-year-old. I have a 7-year-old, and he asked me the other day, he was like, Dad, you're a director for like TV? And I said, yes. And he was like, wow. And he thought I was cool.
yeah. Well, I have a 18-year-old, and she was like, Mom, we like, my friends Googled you and all this film stuff. They thought it's so cool that you're a director. And I was like, thanks.
So we're just trying to get our kids to like us.
Yeah, it makes our kids like us.
I will say like in in LA, like if people like know you're a director and you get introduced as that, like you get a lot more like I don't know, like goodwill or be taken more seriously. Like I've been to parties in LA where people didn't really know me, and then a buddy of mine, like who's like a writer for some show, is just like, oh sure, he's like a director. There's like, oh hey, how are you doing? Like, and I know they looked at me and just kind of glossed over me mentally, and now they're just like, oh hey, how are you doing? Like, you know, they like, so like, you know, in a town like that, like yeah, it always helps out.
Leroy.
I think gone are the days where you tell somebody that you make movies or that you're a director and they come back and they're like, oh, you do porn, you know? And now it's just moved on to, oh, yeah, you know, I'm a director, and they say, oh, what, you're a YouTuber? At this point, I don't know which one I'd rather, you know, YouTube or porn. Yeah, like which one?
one pace, more.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Which one would I enjoy more?
Usually people can tell by like looking at how tired you are, you know.
Is that it?
I think we have another one back there.
Yep.
Where do you do, just following up on the WordPress a little bit, like, where do you actually post to, do you post job notices and you're looking for new casting to that you don't know?
Do people still use Mandy?
I'm going through that right.
Backstage.
So Backstage for Cast is a good resource if you're indie. Facebook. That's like one of the only reasons I go there anymore is because there's tons of groups like PAs in DC is a group, DPs in DC is a group. There's tons of specific gaffers and grip electrical department in DC, specific regional crew pages, and you just say, hey, we got this job, and then you start getting responses.
I mean, Nat Geo Happy is like a really big one. Like Nat Geo people founded it, and like people just use it to crew up around the country. It's really, yeah, like Facebook groups.
You said Nat Geo Happy?
Yeah,
Okay.
like that's a really big like Facebook group in the DC area where like people post jobs. I mean, I found crew on there all the time. It's great.
And crew up with friends for like PH. I mean, so like on a set, somebody's going to need to bring the food. Get your friend that you trust. Somebody's going to have to maybe drive some people around. Get a friend that you trust. So you don't have to get specific experienced crew. People that you trust in certain roles are very, very important. People that are going to just handle the memory cards. People that are going to like show up on time and help you clean up.
Yeah, I was going to say, mostly I've done it through networking. And so if I've worked with somebody before or somebody I do trust and is good, I ask them if they have somebody else who, you know, they know to do another role, something like that. Women in Film and Video also has a listserv where people post jobs. But also just working on productions and maybe volunteering, like as a PA, and starting to meet people and see who you want to work with. And then, you know, gaining some skills and then perhaps getting hired by some of those people that you've met.
Talk to Joe. Joe will get you anybody you need.
And also like figure out who's in charge of hiring and very politely introduce yourself. Say that you're interested in working in film, because just even doing that, just you know, exchanging contact information, because like people are always looking for good people to work with. Like it's always like a tough thing because like I don't know, I'll get like 50 recommendations for PAs, and I'll ask my friends like, is this person like who's really good? Like I would love to have like a really great person on set.
And good isn't like somebody that knows like aspect ratios all the time. Like good is like trustworthy and cool to hang out with and like collaborate with. Almost all the time you take that person over the person that might be a little flaky that like knows his shit in and out. That's my opinion.
Oh no, I mean, I 100% agree. Like you want to work with people that are like, making films is so tough. Why do it with people that are dicks?
And it's 10 to 12 hours a day usually, sometimes more. Like you want to spend your life around people that are nice.
Anybody else?
I just have a question for you guys. Like, do you guys, how many, like, it's such a typical question. I'm always interested in asking other directors because, like, How many like takes do you guys like to do?
I mean, sometimes I feel like I have it on the first take, but then then somebody will remind me and be like, I think shouldn't we get a safety? And I'm like, oh, yeah. But I think it really just depends. But I would say, I mean, 3 is a good number.
If the first one's awesome, then get the second one as like a have fun with it one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know is my answer. I don't know because I just started getting into narrative and I've only done 2. There was one scene where the first take was so out of control, phenomenal, and everybody knew it that we stopped. It was like, all right, let's go to lunch, and everybody was like super pumped, and the actors knew they nailed it, and everybody was super happy. But that's a unicorn. There was another one where we did like 7 takes and had to take a break, and then like the whole thing was kind of fucked for the night.
I have a question about that. Do you ever, like, if you have the best shot or like an amazing shot the first time, are you ever scared of like if you do a second one that's not as good, if you don't have final cut that they may give the one that wasn't the perfect shot?
I mean, it depends if you have final cut or not.
Yeah, like if you don't have final cut and you don't trust like the editors, usually like the editors are pretty like solid. And also if you get in the first take, like most of the times I'll look at the first take and I'm like, oh, this is good, and then like, but like you know, yeah, like sometimes you want to. I've been in situations where like people want to like lock it in, like not even try for like another take because they want a certain take to be good. But that's also kind of dangerous too.
Yeah.
Like you don't want to play that game.
I really like that advice you said about just getting like there's one that you love, have another one where it's just like try something the opposite and see what happens. Mm-hmm. I've heard that on a couple podcasts. I mean, I heard it on a podcast, so it must be true. But I mean, it's coming from these. You know, that was the Team Deacons podcast. These guys have made like you know that one. But yeah, the like do the opposite or have fun with it take is always a fun thing to do.
Especially in comedies where like you know improving is like always can result better than like the script. Yeah. Like have you guys like there's a scene like in Bottoms like there's a whole monologue where it was all improvised, and like it was just like they had the take and they were just like just do it, just do something funny, just play with it. Worst case scenario, you always have the good take.
Yeah.
That's why digital's much more comfortable than film.
Yeah.
Because if you can't do that with film, the producers would be like, "What are you doing?"
I think we have to wrap up.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, guys, for attending. Thank you to our panel.
Thank you.
No problem.